What is going on, guys? A little bit of a different video today. I know all you guys want is those stocks to buy videos, but to be honest, half the reason for my extended absence after writing the CPA exam was a lot to do with I lost a bit of a passion for making these videos. You know, mindlessly pumping out these stocks to buy videos, not really feeling like I was able to really make the videos I necessarily wanted to. But as part of really finding my love for doing this again, I realized I have to really find a balance between giving you guys the content you want and making the content that I want to make. So sometimes I have to rant and get my thoughts out there about certain subjects, and you guys are kind of just my sounding board. But enough of that shit. You guys don't really care about JP's feelings, so let's get into the actual topic. Also, this video may end up turning into a bit of an unhinged rant video towards the end, so stick around till the end because it might just get a little bit entertaining. So sit back, grab a beer or a glass of wine, and enjoy some educational and hopefully entertaining content on this Friday night. You ain't doing nothing else. So obviously, if you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard something here or there about inflation recently. I don't really personally know why people are shocked about it either. I mean, you print out a ton of money and give everybody stimmy checks down south, or CERB up here in the Great White North. That's naturally what's going to happen when you print out a ton of money. You can't just print out money and not expect some sort of inflation. But you can see that here in Canada, inflation for October was at 4.7%, and it's been steadily increasing over the past year, rising pretty substantially from last December. And it's the same story down south of the border. You can see here that inflation is pretty substantially higher rate now than it's ever been throughout the past 10 years. So naturally, this is going to cause a lot of people to have fears about the value of the money in their bank accounts falling by the month. Basically, it all comes down to simple economics at the end of the day. When supply of anything increases, the price tends to fall. So when the supply of money in the economy increases, the value of each dollar is naturally going to fall. Now, most of the time, this isn't really something to fear, unless you have all your money sitting in a savings account and not invested. However, asset classes, some more than others, tend to increase in value during times of inflation. And I'm assuming since you're all watching an investing channel that you're likely all invested somehow already. So this is good. Historically, there have always been some asset classes that are seen as direct hedges against inflation, or stores of value. Gold has typically been one of the go-tos for this. But recently, a new asset class has emerged, and everybody knows about it, which is cryptocurrencies. And the leader of this new asset class, which is Bitcoin, also dubbed as digital gold, is also perceived to be an asset that can act as an inflation hedge. So naturally, it draws the question, which is the better asset to buy to protect yourself from inflation, Bitcoin or gold? For lack of a better term, what's the better traditional store of value? First, I'll talk about why gold has always been seen as a classic inflation hedge, and then I'll give my thoughts on whether I think Bitcoin holds the same value, and I'll give my thoughts on if I think there's any merit to the claim that Bitcoin is the quote-unquote digital gold. So the whole argument for gold being an inflation hedge is that there's a finite amount of gold on planet Earth. Unlike cash, we can't simply print out more gold. I mean, technically you can create gold by rearranging atoms, but it's a really expensive process that requires a nuclear reaction. It's really difficult and really expensive to do in practice. So for the most part, it's just mined out of the ground, and that's our supply of gold. Once it's all mined, there's not going to be any more of it. And then, I mean, technically in theory, we could go to other planets and look for gold and mine it from there, but that's not within the realm of possibility right now, and won't be for a long, long time. Even when it finally is possible to go do that, it's likely going to be way too expensive to even be worth it. So there's a finite amount of gold. All the gold on Earth is all the gold in existence that we can possibly get our hands on. So Bitcoin has characteristics to it that are somewhat similar to gold. It's decentralized, meaning there's no single authoritarian power that controls the supply and demand of it. And there's also a finite amount of it in existence, so similar to gold. Also similar to gold, it's also mined through a process that I know absolutely nothing about, but once it's all mined, that's going to be all the Bitcoin that will ever remain in circulation. So naturally, this sounds a lot like digital gold, does it not? Yes, it sounds like it, but let me tell you why it's not as similar as you might think. So unlike stocks, there's no intrinsic value tied to a stream of cash flows from a business with either gold or Bitcoin. They're simply just assets. One is a literal metal, and the other is a digital string of ones and zeros. So where do they get their values from? So they both derive value purely from supply and demand. And supply of both gold and Bitcoin is fixed, like we talked about. There's a fixed amount of each that will ever exist. So since supply is out of the question and won't ever change, it's inelastic. The price of both gold and Bitcoin is driven strictly by demand. As demand for gold and Bitcoin rises, the price will rise as well. When demand falls, price is going to fall. So since the price of both of these is determined by demand and demand only, let's talk about what causes the demand for each of these to increase and which one is likely to remain in high demand over the long run. So this is actually a really simple argument from this point on. What is demand? Demand is literally just people's want to possess something. What causes people to want gold? Well, for one, gold obviously has significant value as jewelry. Go ask your girlfriend or your sister how much they'd love a gold necklace for Christmas. Want to do something really funny? Promise them a gold necklace for Christmas, and in reality give them like 0.00001 of a Bitcoin. And then be like, well, I didn't feel like going to the mall, so I figured I'd give you this 1,000th of a Bitcoin instead. My buddy told me it was basically digital gold. And just watch the look on their face. So gold has immense demand for use as jewelry. But it's not just this. Gold actually plays a really important role in a lot of consumer goods as well. It plays a crucial role in all electronic devices. It's an excellent conductor of electricity and it doesn't corrode, so it's the perfect material to use in circuit boards. So there's actually a small amount of gold inside your phone, inside your laptop, everything, your GPS, whatever. So with a fixed supply of gold in existence, but millions of iPhones and other electronic devices being pumped out every year, this is eating away at that supply of gold over time. And the more and more people that enter the world that keep getting born, the more and more jewelry and electronics will eventually be purchased and consumed by them. So the demand for gold is constantly fueled by real-world practical applications. Even if you have no desire to go out there and buy, a 7-inch Miami Cuban chain and look like Rick Ross, you're still buying gold every time you go buy a new phone or any electronic device. So I think we can all acknowledge that there is a significant driver of demand for gold that isn't going to go away anytime soon. With a fixed amount of gold in existence, this means the price will naturally rise over time as demand rises. So we know what drives the demand for gold. So on the other hand, what causes the demand for Bitcoin to increase? No, seriously, can anybody really answer this? What is the driver for demand for Bitcoin? Like, what would make you as an individual want to go out and buy it? Because it's going up? Well, what happens when it's not going up? What if the price is just hovering flat? Or even worse, what if it's falling? What's going to make people want to go out and buy Bitcoin then? Literally just the hope that it's going to go back up again? Seriously, let's have this discussion. Why do any of you, if you want to buy Bitcoin, actually want to buy it? There's no practical application. There's no reason, like there is for gold, for demand for Bitcoin to rise over time. The only reason you or anybody else is going to buy Bitcoin is because you're hoping that in the future, somebody else is going to buy it from you for a higher price. But there has to be a reason for them to actually buy it for you at that higher price. That reason has to come from somewhere. Right now, the only place that demand's coming from is pure, baseless speculation. People see catalysts for Bitcoin like, ooh, there's an ETF coming, or ooh, Elon Musk is gonna buy it. Seriously, that's an actual driver for the demand of Bitcoin. Can you all just take a step back, whether you're bullish on Bitcoin or not, and ask yourself how ridiculous that is? Is half the world's adult population really just a bunch of childish riders that think Elon Musk is like God overlord? Like, it's funny to joke about, maybe if you're in high school, but when you're a 25-year-old grown-ass man talking about a major catalyst for something is that Elon Musk might tweet about it? I mean, you gotta be kidding me. What, you gonna let him wear your pants and your girlfriend too? The main argument by a lot of people in the field of crypto is that, well, a dollar doesn't have real world value either. It's just paper. You're right, it's just paper. Paper that's backed by the belief in the Canadian or US government. That's what gives it value. Yes, in theory, if the government collapses, the dollar would lose all value. But I think if the government collapses, you've got much bigger problems on your hands. I think the only things that would really hold value if society itself collapsed are guns, shelter, food, and water. Like, I don't think your Bitcoin is going to do you much if the government collapses tomorrow. Bitcoin really isn't comparable to the dollar. It actually doesn't really have any application as a currency, which is something that might give it value. Like, you can't go take your Bitcoin to Sobeys and buy a box of Oreos. The only rare places that allow you to transact in Bitcoin are places or people that already have vested interest in seeing Bitcoin's price go up. Think about that. Like when you see Tom Brady giving some kid in the crowd a whole Bitcoin in exchange for the ball that he threw his 600 touchdown pass with. You think that was actually Tom Brady going, why don't I give this kid some of my Bitcoin that I always give to my friends instead of actual money? No, it was likely sponsored by a company like Square or like a crypto exchange that has vested interest in wanting to make it seem like transacting in cryptocurrency is this commonplace thing, which it's not. One of the real main sources of actual frequent transactions in Bitcoin is criminal activity. A lot of the terrible, unspeakable things that I'm not going to demonetize myself by saying that go on the dark web are transacted through Bitcoin because it's not traceable. Like, that kind of just speaks for itself, doesn't it? Like, if there was anything that might give a government some sort of incentive to regulate it or even ban it, that's probably it, right? The crypto heads hate it if you even bring that up, but it's something worth bringing up. Like I said, the only thing that would actually give Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency some sort of actual value is that if it's adopted by a superpower's government as a recognized currency. And no, Venezuela is not a superpower if you were wondering. I'm sorry, but the Venezuelan bolivar is so irrelevant on the global scale, they probably thought accepting Bitcoin as a currency was their only possible hope of actually catching their economy up on a global relevancy scale. So here's why a superpower like the United States will never adopt Bitcoin as a currency. So right now, the US dollar is the most globally relevant currency on the planet. The US dollar is the official currency of more than 65 countries around the world. Is that not crazy? The US has way too much interest in protecting the relevancy of their dollar. Why would they ever want to accept another currency that's likely direct competition with their own currency and would directly reduce people's reliance on their dollar? The US Federal Reserve is already developing their own cryptocurrency backed by the US dollar. All it's going to take is the government saying, all right, if you want to use crypto, you can use ours, the rest, banned. A little extreme, but if that does happen, in the snap of a fingers, Bitcoin is on a crash course with the floor. You already have numerous countries and superpowers like China outright banning Bitcoin and other cryptos. Another reason why it'll never be accepted as a currency by any of the main superpowers is that it's just too volatile and it's not regulated. Regulation is needed for a currency. It's how you protect the people. Like what would happen during the Cove if we used Bitcoin as a currency? You can't print out any more of it. People who lost their jobs would literally end up losing their homes and starving on the streets. There would be no financial help to support these struggling businesses because you couldn't just print out more Bitcoin. The amount of businesses that would have went under if Bitcoin was our currency is crazy. You need the ability in times of crisis to control the monetary supply. So this is why Bitcoin won't be accepted as an official currency of any superpower's government, which is the only thing that would give it any sort of value. Since it doesn't get its value as a currency, again, its value is strictly derived from demand. The whole thing's kind of just a massive shill at this point, since the only way for people to actually make money on Bitcoin is by increasing the demand. What are people who already have their money tied up in Bitcoin going to do? They're going to try and stimulate that demand themselves. This is why you see a ton of celebrities, YouTubers, or even institutions talking glowingly about Bitcoin. They know damn well that the only way they're going to make any money on it is by getting other people to buy into it. So for somebody with a massive position of influence, they're obviously going to try and use that position to try and pump these coins and create demand for it by telling you it's the best thing going. And you're going to get all walks of life doing this. So I was scrolling my LinkedIn feed one night, and this is kind of hilarious. But I saw this post that one of my connections liked by some Bitcoin influencer. So right off the bat, I'm thinking this guy's a load of shit. Actually, I think I saved screenshots of the interaction, which is amazing, so I'll toss those up on the screen. His position, like his job, beside his name was literally, follow me to learn more about Bitcoin. So I read his post, and I guess this was after Bitcoin dropped 10% pretty quickly or something, and he was trying to reassure his followers that there wasn't anything to worry about. So the post read, Bitcoin price 1 year ago, $18,000. Bitcoin price today, $57,000. It's all about perspective. Zoom out. Trying to be like all philosophical and shit. So I read it, and I'm already thinking, this guy. And I want to have a little bit of fun kind of provoking him, because these Bitcoin people are so passionate. If anyone here is into crypto, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like a religious cult or something to some of these people. So I comment something a little agitating, expecting kind of a triggered response. Kind of just trolling, to be honest. So I comment, with nothing but hype and speculative nonsense holding the price up in an ultra-low interest rate environment, Bitcoin has even less actual utility than Chuck E. Cheese tokens. At least those you can go exchange for a prize. ... It's all about perspective. Obviously kind of mocking him a little. So within like 15 minutes, I get like 8 messages from my friends laughing about it. I'm obviously kind of feeling myself. So I go back to check on the post and see how much likes it's got. And the guy's deleted my comment. And even better, he's blocked me. Like it pissed him off that much that he couldn't even reply to me about it. He had to banish me from his social media existence. So just kind of a little funny story, but it's the absolute truth. Bitcoin quite literally has less real-world utility than Chuck E. Cheese tokens. Like you can actually use those tokens as transactional currency at a Chuck E. Cheese. And I could sell them to anybody who wants to go to a Chuck E. Cheese. If I didn't already lose half of my 9% female subscribers with that whole Elon Musk comment, I'm definitely going to lose them now. But literally, Bitcoin has as much real-world value as a cow's turd. Actually, not even. Because at least that could be used as fertilizer for your garden. Think about it. Bitcoin literally has less real-world value than a cow's turd. On a more serious note, another thing that really gives gold more value over Bitcoin is that there's only one metal that looks and behaves like gold. There's no substitute. Again, go and ask your girlfriend or sister if she wants a gold necklace or a silver necklace for Christmas and see what she says. Even if she likes the white color better, she's still going to ask for white gold. Bitcoin, on the other hand, there's really nothing differentiating it from the over 10,000 other cryptocurrencies out there. Sure, Bitcoin does have some unique properties, I'll give it that. Like there's a finite amount and nobody knows who created it. But in theory, I could just go program a cryptocurrency tomorrow with my buddy and software eng at McMaster. Program it to have the exact same properties as Bitcoin, and we could keep it a secret that we made it. we're not going to tell anybody. And then boom, you've already got another Bitcoin right there. And there's thousands of others out there, and in theory could be millions. There could be an infinite amount. So the only thing that actually differentiates Bitcoin from these other cryptocurrencies is the name brand of Bitcoin, the recognizability. That doesn't hold much value in of itself. It's not like the token's differentiated by the product as well. And my last argument is a relatively simple one. People tend to gravitate back towards gold as an inflation hedge and a store of value due to its sheer lack of volatility of gold prices, or relative lack. Bitcoin is just way too volatile right now to be considered a safe store of value. Like, Lord forbid Elon Musk wakes up tomorrow and feels like tweeting, "Bitcoin sucks." The price is going to crash 30%. Not really much of a store of value if 30% of your investment could be wiped away like that, is it? It's possible that it stabilizes over the long term, but realistically, I just don't see this happening anytime soon. I think that's a lot of what draws people to Bitcoin in the first place. It's that thought of doubling your money quickly and seeing some action. A store of value isn't meant to double your money quick. It's meant to provide stability during times of uncertainty. So, in conclusion, after really close consideration and an in-depth analysis, I've determined that gold is likely to remain the better hedge against inflation over long periods of time. If you want to fight me in the comments about it, go for it. It's all love. I really challenge you, though, instead of disliking the video and unsubscribing, to not be like this asshole and delete my comment and block me. Let's actually have a discussion. Maybe you can pitch me a convincing argument and actually change my mind on Bitcoin. For what it's worth, I do think that blockchain technology will play a massive role in the future. This is more of an argument for the sake of gold versus Bitcoin as a store of wealth and a hedge against inflation, to which I think gold is more valuable in the inherent sense of value itself. You can argue that, but JP bro, Bitcoin's gone up a lot more in the past year than gold has. That means it performed better during times of inflation than gold did. Bitcoin's rise over the past year was driven strictly by speculation. One, the market cap of Bitcoin, even after its massive run, is still about a tenth of gold's. So it's a lot easier to make the price run up for Bitcoin than it is for gold. And two, nobody's recklessly speculating on gold the same way that they are for Bitcoin and other cryptos. It's not getting the hype. I think that over the long run, gold will act as the much safer, much more consistent store of value and wealth than Bitcoin will. And those are my final thoughts. But with that being said, that's been my time, and I thank each and every one of you guys and gals for yours. I hope I didn't lose too many subscribers on this one, whether it be the girls I offended or the Bitcoin shills I triggered. And I hope that some of you actually did kind of appreciate the style of video. Making videos like this kind of gives me that creative outlet, where I feel like I'm really making content about these things on my mind that I actually want to talk about at a certain time, rather than kind of just forcing out content that the masses want all the time. So let me know if some of you guys did enjoy this video at all. Again, I appreciate each and every last one of you guys and gals that did enjoy it, but appreciate it again, as always, and take care, guys.